It's Thursday, the 28th of October, 2010. I meant to file this report, a postmortem of Capclave, this past Sunday, but didn't get around to it till just now, so uh, here it is. As you can tell, I'm home already. It was a 7-hour bumper to bumper, fender to fender trip home from Rockville, Maryland, and it was at least 6 hours on the way down there. Traffic was awful. Con was great. Had a really good time, and as you know from my last posting, I got a chance to meet Ed Lerner, who's been collaborating with Larry Niven on moving the Ringworld um, uh, uh, series forward, or actually backward. He's helping Larry write the prequels, and that was really just one highlight of the convention. Uh, my favorite moment was the time I had with Anne and Jeff Vandermeer. Uh, Jeff is a big name author, and Anne is a renowned editor, and they've collaborated on a few anthologies together that are really the essentials of new weird and steampunk, and going on from there. So anyway, I've got nothing but great things to say about Ann and Jeff, and I was absolutely floored they had nice things to say about me. In advance of the convention, I volunteered to participate in a critique workshop where a small number of aspiring writers would forward the Vandermeers a short story and receive their critique live at Capclave. And I put out a story that I originally titled Hell or High Water. I changed the title to Offshore and updated some references a little. But basically, the takeaway of the story is that when your job gets offshored, the shore it gets sent to is the far shore of the river Styx, and basically I see outsourcing as kind of a hellscape. So anyway, they looked over this story and they liked it. Um, Not unconditionally. They pointed out some weaknesses that my crit group, LI Sci-Fi, has also pointed out. For instance, that there was a problem with the structure and that the intro went on too long, and this other critique came from Jeff, not so much from Anne, but Jeff would have liked to have seen a weird, like a new weird landscape to to the final scene, rather than, or to the main body of the story, rather than the more conventional image of a Christian hell that I presented. Anne didn't have that problem with it. Jeff did. They both pointed out that when I wrote the story, and I wrote the story years ago, I just happened to have it in my trunk and it was the right length, so I submitted it. But one problem that they both saw was with description. Did a lot of good visual description, but I didn't really engage the other senses. And if you've ever asked me to crit your stuff, this is probably a critique that I've given your work, and it's certainly something that I'm very aware of and I work very hard at now. And uh, the Vandermeers also gave us a writing assignment that involved description, and they wanted us to engage all the senses in our description. I gave them a one paragraph sample there, and I think they're convinced that I did learn something over the past 3-4 years since I wrote Offshore. Um, One thing that they did like was that my crit group didn't, was the protagonist. And, well, not really like, but was engaged with. My my crit partners tell me that a flaw in my writing is that my protagonists tend not to be sympathetic, and I can only respond that that's not a flaw, that's a theme. My my protagonists are not supposed to be sympathetic, at least not when you first meet them. You got to get to know them, and I kind of count on my facility with turning a phrase and with dialogue uh, to get you along until you can actually get into these characters. And what Jeff told me was that it doesn't matter that the character wasn't sympathetic. The character was interesting, and so yeah, I feel kind of justified there. Finally, somebody who uh, clearly knows the business is telling me that I'm on the right track with my characterization. So I'm very happy about that. All right, so they were also kind enough to sign my copy of their new Weird anthology, and their Polish colleague Konrad Walewski, who was my roommate at ReaderCon up in Massachusetts over the summer. He'd already signed that. He had a nonfiction piece in there, and so I've got a couple more signatures. Let's see how many more signatures I have to get to go in that anthology. A lot. They also recently put out a small book called The Kosher Guide to Imaginary Animals. I just picked up on a whim because it sounded cool, and got their signature on that. The other guest of honor besides the Vandermeers was Connie Willis, and I got her signature on my copy of To Say Nothing of the Dog, which I really liked. I really liked that story. It was time travel. I was very heavily into time travel at the time, and it's also satirical in its way. And of course, I'm a sucker for a book written with a good sense of humor. Uh, okay, what else went on? Oh yeah, ran into Ira Naiman, who I first met at Albicon a couple of weeks ago. He's also a sci-fi satirist, and I sometimes call him my Yoda. And at the signing table, I was seated between Ira and a new friend by the name of Jerry Smith Reddy, who writes urban fantasy, romance kind of stuff. And I've certainly been making a wider circle of friends in that sphere too. Uh, as for intentions, the podcast, the project is moving forward. Stay tuned. It's going to be sooner rather than later for the podcast of intentions. And let's see what else. Jerry is also somebody with a great sense of humor. I loved hearing her laugh, loved making her laugh, and I expect I'll be running into her at conventions again, and just a wonderful new acquaintance. And well, I'm just gushing, so I'm going to move on. All right, so I also wanted to give a shout out to Don Trahan. His wife and my wife are cousins, and they live in the next town up from Rockville, and so we got a chance to hang out with the Trahans, and Don did double duty, not just as my host for the weekend, but also as my chauffeur and my memory, because for some reason I was like an Alzheimer's patient all weekend. I just couldn't remember anything, and so it was great having Don along. Um, and let's see, outside of that, this vlog is going to be pretty quiet for the next little while. Everyone going to World Fantasy this weekend. Bon voyage, have a great time. Love Columbus, Ohio. It's a great town. I didn't figure I'd like anything about a small town in the middle of Ohio, but it's a blast. You will have fun there. And I don't think I'm going to make it down to PhilCon. That could change, but I'm not scheduled to go down to PhilCon at this point. So the next thing I've got coming up is in January, Aricia back up in Boston, and well, maybe there'll be a reason to check in with the vlog between now and then. Uh, but just in case don't get a chance to pitch Land That I Love, um, well, I'm definitely going to carry a couple of copies along with me on the Huffington Post bus from Citi Field down to the National Mall, and if you don't see me there, you go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or anywhere else through my website to pick up either a dead trees or a real or an e-copy of Land That I Love. And thanks very much. And if I don't see you in a while, Happy New Year.